typically the most expensive type of tape?
Yeah.
It's a gaffer's tape.
Oh.
It's a sort of a heavy-duty cloth electrical tape.
Right.
I don't know if you know precisely what a gaffer is.
I know it's for, like, taping down cables, right?
Gaffers are the head electricians on movie sets.
Whoa.
Yes.
Are they assisted by the best boy?
They are!
Yeah.
That is precisely what a best boy is.
Okay.
That title does not change regardless of gender.
I see. Okay.
Of the person carrying out the duties.
I see. It's a genderless boy.
But yeah, I looked it up in case someone was asking us for tape and they wanted the most expensive kind.
What do you know?
Tape.
I've worked in, I've done some live sound for shows before where they had gaffer's tape, and the like old grizzled sound audio engineers were like, "Don't use all that tape.
It's expensive."
It's expensive. That's exactly what they said, and now you've backed that up.
Independent confirmation.
What do you know?
I like how the old audio engineers at these shows are cut from the same cloth as, like, grizzled prospectors.
Indeed, yeah. And the, like, sailors who are out to sea 9 months out of the year.
Do they have the same wind-battered face?
Yep.
Even though they work exclusively indoors?
Yeah, it's from the battering of the sound from the loud instruments. Movement of air.
They're just, like, sitting next to the subwoofer as it's pulsating in front of them.
Where's that?
They're just sitting there, how does this sound?
I had a teacher when I went to the Art Institute who said that he created a speaker that was able to make sound waves that were less than 10 hertz, which is really, really low. And he said that he was able to turn up the amplification on them where it's like he couldn't hear it, but he could see things vibrating, and he felt his eyeballs were going to pop out of his head. So,
wow.
That's power.
I feel like there's a supervillain weapon in there someplace.
They could be called the Gaffer.
The Gaffer.
Or Mr. Hertz?
There we go.
Okay.
There it is. Hertz. Yeah.
There's a lot of puns you could throw in there, too. Like, I like the sound of that.
Oh, my God. It writes itself.
Yeah, this is great.
All right, next week, our superhero movie. Mr. Hertz. We'll have to come up with a hero, but...
I always liked the idea of a really wimpy superhero, but who somehow gets the job done. Sort of like Abracadavid, is that what his name is, on Adventure Time?
My name is Abracadaniel.
Abracadaniel, there we go.
Okay. I don't know, I feel like some of the X-Men are pretty weak.
Oh, yeah.
Especially like if you go back to like the early comics, like Beast was like just a guy with like big toes.
Was he blue still?
No, he was flesh colored. Like
he
had like hairy knuckles, and he could pick up stuff with his feet.
It's pretty weak. It's pretty weak. I used to play this game. Oh, I think I told you about this. Where like with a friend, where we try to pick the worst superhero superpowers. One is being able to ooze margarita mixer from your hands.
Just the mixer?
Just the mixer, yeah. And like the gross store-bought corn syrupy, super sweet stuff, not like fresh lime juice.
Ugh. Yeah, that's a real select skill.
Yeah, just imagine how grody your apartment would get.
Well, did it ooze uncontrollably?
Well, I imagine you can't constantly be in control of your superpowers.
No, I think that's like the defining mark of a superpower, isn't it? That you can control it.
Why'd they have that school in X-Men?
It teaches you to hone your ability. Why is there schools in general? We all have the capacity for learning. It's this is where you go to hone them.
Good point.
It's not like
you don't gain the skill of learning in school.
Yeah, it's not like they taught Cyclops how to fly.
You're right. Oh, that's another one. Being able to fly, but only 1 inch off the ground. And you have to be in the horizontal position.
I'd still do it.
And you can only go like 3 miles an hour.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, see, I thought like maybe if I went downhill, like gravity would do the work for me.
Maybe, okay, sure, I'll give you that. But so
But I
like,
couldn't go uphill.
no.
I can only work with gravity. It's like having an invisible skateboard.
Yeah.
It's like I'm lying out on an invisible skateboard. So if I want to float uphill, I have to claw my way.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if I could do that.
Can you imagine doing X Games style Tony Hawk tricks?
Or what if it really was like an invisible skateboard and like the part of you that floated was only from like hip to like neck, and you had to use your own muscle mass to like keep your legs and head up?
You'd have major back muscles. That might even work as your superhero name, Major Back Muscles. I mean, well,
I was thinking more like Captain Skateboard.
Captain Skateboard versus Mr. Hertz. Issue 1 didn't sell very well.
I think the hero in our superhero movie should be an X-Men type, or maybe Fantastic Four. We got Margarita Oozman, Captain Skateboard.
I've always liked the idea of someone who is able to have their nipples detach and let the nipples kind of flop around and then do little tasks for them. The nippler?
That would be an especially useless power.
No, they could creep in and
spy.
Maybe pick locks.
Wow, it's been a while since I've seen your nipples, but I don't know.
They'd probably come back all hurt.
I don't know
painful.
if they can hold like picking needles very well.
Well, that's why they would go to the school to hone. You would go and hone this.
Just the nipples, though.
Yeah.
The host would stay at home.
Yeah. I just picture these two nipples sitting at a desk taking notes.
Kids are at school.
Would it be a situation where the Fantastic Four, it takes 4 of them to beat our one Mr. Hertz?
Yeah.
Mr. Hertz is tough. You've really gotten into trouble now.
Hello, there we go. That's the catchphrase. He pushes over a building on him. He goes, timber.
Yeah. This is coming on. We've got so many forks in the fryer. What's the saying?
Irons in the fire.
Irons in the fire. Have you? Did you see anything fun since the last time we met?
Yeah, actually, for as busy as I was, I saw actually quite a few things. I saw a film starring your big crush, Jay Stath.
Oh yeah.
It was called Crank.
Oh, I think I saw that.
It's basically like speed inside his body, where like he can't let his adrenaline get too low.
That's right.
It was like Axe Body Spray made a movie.
Yeah.
This was like a Maxim listicle incarnate.
I saw that 100 years ago. I really don't remember it.
But your dude gets a boner in it, and you see his butt.
Yeah, well...
There's also casual rape. Yeah, it was real bad.
Okay.
I would not recommend. I wanted to watch the sequel, Crank 2, You Got Crunk, but it just wasn't in the cards.
Oh, that's too bad. It was already checked out. At the
Yeah.
popular title. I watched a whole bunch too because I was sick.
Yeah.
And so, what better thing to do but sit around and watch movies? And I had a little Villeneuve fun, and I did Prisoners and Enemy. And man, I just love that guy.
Prisoners is a bit dour, if memory serves.
Prisoners is a real downer, and it does not have a moment of levity, really.
No.
But it's just well made, and that one is just, I feel like, a good film. It's just well made, except for like some of the torture punching scenes were a little off, but it's good. It's a good movie. But then I feel like he makes some creative leap with Enemy that I really liked.
Yeah, Enemy, I've seen most of his films. There's like 1 or 2 of his really early stuff.
Yeah.
Like I've seen everything from Polytechnique on.
Okay.
And yeah, that Enemy was like his most, abstract, his most cerebral. Which of the 2 did you like better?
I think Enemy.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. Just because it's ambiguous, of course. That's why I love it,
You do like your ambiguity.
I also saw a documentary called Tickled. Did you see this?
Yeah. I saw that at SIFF last year. It's a little
Bonkers,
scary.
yeah. It's funny because you watch the trailer for it, and that's what happens in the first 20 minutes of the movie, basically. And then it just spools off into this crazy realm.
Yeah, it was a little scary. It's weird to think that, like, there's that underbelly going on.
Yeah.
It's also weird to think because, I mean, without giving too much away, the guy must get off on the blackmail as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because you could presumably just pay to see, frat boys being tickled as a legit just expenditure.
Sure.
You wouldn't need this whole shadowy operation. You could just say,
right.
This is what we do.
Right.
So he must get off on, like, the power imbalance there as well.
Right. And there's definitely some, like, closeted issues going on with this person that's, like, kind of makes the whole thing a little tragic.
Yeah.
Too.
I mean, ideally no one should be shamed for their, their tastes.
Right.
And so it's sort of unfortunate, but it's one of those things like, they're bullying him, but this is a bully, so it's one of,
I feel like they're more they're bullying him because
he's
the first email that reporter got back called him a faggot, and it was just like, that's your response? I was just like, I was just asking some questions. I just wanted to write like a fluff piece about competitive endurance tickling, and to get back this, like, we don't want to be associated with homosexuality, you faggot, is like, okay, now I need to know more about this.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's justified.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm really excited. I was really excited to see that it was available to watch online because I've been wanting to see it for a while.
Because you thought it was about young men being tickled.
Hey, didn't you just say no judgments?
Oh, Brian, that was 40 seconds ago.
Are you ready to dive in?
Should we introduce ourselves?
Yes, that's what I meant. Dive into the introduction. Welcome
to X-Rated.
My name is Ryan Whedon.
And I'm Matt Fisher.
We're your hosts, where we talk about movies.
For the next TBD minutes.
Yeah. Maybe I'll use like the robot voice there. And today we will be talking about
a little film called Match Points.
Indeed.
I like how it's our first Woody Allen film.
I like his films, except for that nervous fella's always in them.
So here's a director world-renowned for his comedies.
Mm-hmm.
And I chose probably his most serious film as our starting point.
Yeah.
So, I hadn't seen this movie in a long, long time. Probably 8 or 9 years.
Oh, man.
And I remember liking it then, and I liked it probably a little bit more now, even like on rewatch. I'm one of those people, though, like even sort of bad Woody Allen films I kind of like.
Yeah, I'm a little bit on that field, too.
They're so watchable.
Yeah.
Because
he's a master of craft.
Yeah, he also... One thing that I noticed at the very beginning, when the tennis balls are going back and forth, and like the one hits the net, and he's talking about how life is a lot of luck, and how sometimes the ball will go on the other side of the net and you'll win, and sometimes it'll come back and you lose. It's so rare in a Woody Allen film for there not to be people in frame.
Oh yeah.
He really, if people aren't in frame, he's usually not interested in it.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the reasons why his movies are so watchable, is because he really gets like these strong performances out of his actors.
Sure.
So you're kind of always watching it, if you're not totally enamored with what's going on, but because there's always somebody like doing something or saying something.
Yeah.
I don't know. They're just really easy to watch.
Agreed. I definitely agree with coaxing out great performances from his actors. And does he always write his scripts too? Yeah. He's good at dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
It always feels natural to me. He's
really collaborative. I saw a pretty long documentary on it. It was like a 4-hour documentary on his works, and he's not like married to his own dialogue.
Oh, okay.
He really encourages the actors to like say it in whatever way feels the most natural, and he's willing to try different shots, doing it different ways,
Yeah.
and really like work with the actors to see what is the most natural to come out.
Cool. Yeah, they always feel really natural.
Yeah, I guess he's I don't want to say quick to fire, but like he has nothing against recasting. Like even after starting filming in Purple Rose of Cairo, it's Jeff Daniels who like comes out of the movie screen and like romances Mia Farrow, but it was originally Michael Keaton.
Oh wow!
And they shot for like 3 weeks, and it just like wasn't working. So they recast it and reshot everything.
And he's great in that.
Yeah,
worked out really well.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess he really just hires actors to do their own thing. Like he's not hiring people with the intent of like directing them, Hitchcock style. He's more to hiring them because he knows what they can do and that they're right for the job.
That's kind of interesting with this movie specifically because I read that he had tried to set it in Manhattan.
Okay.
Or no, the Hamptons.
Okay.
But something went wrong, and he had to do it in London. But because it was produced by like the BBC or something, he had to hire all British actors.
Okay.
So yeah.
Scarjo's not British, is she?
No, and there was someone else. I want to say Kate Winslet was going to play her character, but she dropped out, and so they got ScarJo attached, and he just like rewrote the part to make her an American, and that was okay, I guess.
Okay. So, yeah, ScarJo, she's roughly my age. She's about 2 months older than me.
Okay.
I only know that because I dated someone who shared her exact same birthday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like to the day.
Nice.
So this isn't her strongest performance, but I also have to think that she was like 19 when this movie was being made.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay,
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
For a 19-year-old, for sure. She gets some subtlety in there, and she gets a flip-out scene, and she gets lots of stuff to do.
Yeah. No, she did pretty good. I do have to say, though, watching it this time around, Jonathan Rhys Meyers is a pretty good actor.
Yeah.
There's like a scene after the deed is done when he's in the car and he's like called his wife and like hung up where his like hands start shaking and he's crying. I'm like, that's really good. I'm really like I believe him.
Yeah. He's good. He was a good choice for this character because he's got he's able to play kind of steely.
Yeah.
Like where you can't really read what's going on behind the face.
Yeah.
And it's like it takes his actions to really read the character. For example, like that first scene where he's playing ping pong with Scarlett Johansson, and it's like it takes until he kind of like there's like flirting going on, talking, but you're like he'll never like go over there or anything, and then he comes over and like puts his arm around it, gets really close, and it's like, oh, you are that guy.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to read him that way, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, watching it this time, I noticed that even though Woody Allen's like known for his dialogue, there is a lot of nonverbal acting going on in the movie. So there's a scene where Jonathan Rhys Meyers, Chris, and Emily Mortimer, Chloe, they meet at the opera.
Okay.
In that box.
The first time they meet?
Yeah. And you hear the opera going, and they're all just sitting there quietly, but you kind of see like Emily Mortimer like kind of like turn her head towards Chris.
Sure.
And there's no dialogue, but you get that feeling like, oh, she's into him.
Mm-hmm.
And it turns out they are, or she is.
Yeah.
But she can't compete with ScarJo. She's brunette. What are you gonna do?
It's sort of weird, like how love is kind of pushed off to the side. Like it's a really cynical look at love in this film. It's like it's either lust or like a marriage of convenience, basically. There's no real romance, so to speak.
Yeah.
Maybe like when they first start making out in the field, when in the rain, like it's sort of like it's almost like a fake, like it's almost a joke. Even
it's like The Notebook.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Nicholas Sparks sort of.
Yeah, but after that, it's really like. You get some sensual scenes, but like for the most part, romance is dead in this movie.
Yeah.
Like,
Chris is looking for either comfort or base desires.
Right. And like Chloe has no problems buying her husband, basically.
Yeah, she really doesn't.
She's like, let daddy do this for you. I just want a baby.
Well, they have that conversation near the beginning of the film, and Chris is talking about how much luck plays into life.
Right.
And Chloe is like, "Oh, I think it's all hard work." It's like, well, of course you think that. You were born
rich.
wealthy, and your dad does everything for you.
I think it's important to be lucky in anything.
Well, I don't believe in luck. I believe in hard work.
Oh, hard work is mandatory, but I think everybody's afraid to admit what a big part luck plays.
I don't really feel like Woody Allen's a real moralizer, but if there is a moral to this film, it would probably be, oh, if you're rich, you can get away with anything.
Jonathan Rhys Meyers, I do have to say this, he looks good from every angle.
Mm.
Woody Allen, like, he's known for making the women in his films look good. Like, even Cate Blanchett in Blue Jasmine, when she's drunk and disheveled, still looks pretty good the whole time.
Yeah.
Flattering lighting, good backlighting, stuff like that. And it seems like he's able to translate that onto dudes, too.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I would venture to say that this is the hottest I've ever seen him in a movie.
Even over Velvet Goldmine,
I was
making out with Ewan McGregor.
I was debating this on my bike ride over, and I was thinking, yeah, I think he, there's something about him in this movie. And I want to say, and I guess this is kind of maybe tied into what you were saying earlier, the look of this film in general is gorgeous. Like, I don't know what it is, but it looks just sumptuous and like just really...
That's another aspect of Woody's films that I think people kind of overlook. Is this film, the cinematographer wasn't super famous. Like, I'd seen some of his other movies, but they weren't movies like known for it. But in his last movie, Cafe Society, it's like the same cinematographer who did Apocalypse Now and like a bunch of Bernardo Bertolucci movies and stuff like that.
Oh man.
Annie Hall had the same cinematographer as The Godfather.
Wow.
He really like chooses his cinematographer as well. Like it is important for him for like the movie to look good, like not just be entertaining, but to have like a depth and a feel to it.
It looked really nice, and there's almost like a soft edge to everything too, which was kind of nice. And I really liked that in contrast to the music that he chose, because it was all opera, but it was all like old scratchy versions of opera. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
I don't know why I didn't really think about it too much, but it was a nice contrast to the like warm feeling of all that, and then this like sort of like kind of, I guess it's warm to some people to hear like old and like the pops and stuff on a record, but like it just felt, I don't know, it was a nice contrast to me.
I mean, really old recordings, because they were listening to like the dude's name now, famous old tenor. For the most part, it's gonna come to me in like 10 minutes. So
all right,
right as you're in the middle of a deep thought, I'll come and say Caruso.
Okay,
a lot of it was like Enrico Caruso.
Okay,
stuff. But I mean, that stuff, it's like, it was recorded in like 1910. So it's going to have pops and scratches and stuff like that. Like, there's just no getting around it.
Yeah.
But that is a good point. Because, the movie looked good, and then on top of it was sort of a, pops and clicks and scratches and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's just a nice contrast.
Yeah, it was a nice contrast. And Matthew Good was also very attractive. I think he's a cutie.
Indeed. Yeah. We don't get any shirtless scenes of him, which is a fault.
Yeah, if there is a failing to this movie, it's the total lack of homoeroticism between those two.
Zero. I mean, I thought there was for a second when he's like, "You like opera too?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Ooh, what's gonna happen?" And then it was like, "Oh, never mind." Happens pretty quick that we realize, no, these guys are straight.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I mean,
not every movie is just going to be my fantasy on film.
It's not always about me.
You know that this is going to be a serious movie just by the opening credits. So Woody Allen for like 40 years has essentially the same opening credits. It's just the white text on a black background.
Right.
Over music. I think like every movie he's done since, Take the Money and Run has been that way.
Wow.
But it's usually over jazz music. And I noticed this time, like, whenever he uses classical music, that means it's serious.
That's his cue.
Yeah, because some of his other serious stuff, like Crimes and Misdemeanors, there's a funny story and a serious story. And the serious story is a backdrop of Schubert.
Oh, okay.
Or as an old coworker of mine used to say, Schubert. I'm like, he's not French. So yeah, right at the opening credits, you know, even if I remembered nothing about this movie, I'm like, oh, no, serious movie.
Yeah. He ends it with the same song.
Yeah.
So I thought that was...
it.
Yeah. It's a real... That first image is really great with the tennis ball, and then he repeats it later with the ring.
Yeah.
And I actually really like the last shot. I rewatched the last scene, like when they're coming home with the baby.
I was going to say where he's standing off to the side.
Yeah, and just like, it's cool because he turns and looks to, I guess for us, he looks to the left, and just like kind of out the window wistfully in a way.
Yeah.
Because that whole, there's a whole bunch of shots where he does, he moves the camera like starting at a point, moves to the left or right, and then moves back, like we're watching a tennis match, kind of.
Oh, okay.
And then at the very end, it's kind of cool because he moves over, and then you've kind of like been trained to think it's going to go back to the right from throughout the movie, but then he moves even further to the left, and then we see Jonathan Rhys Meyers looking off kind of sadly.
I did notice the camera movement in this because... Yeah, now that you pointed out, I just noticed that, you know, it panned a lot more than, you know, an average movie. And now that you mention it, yeah, it is sort of like, you know, you're watching a ball going back and forth.
Right.
That's a good point.
I felt like the dialogue kind of mirrored tennis matches, too. There was a lot of, like, batting back and forth, specifically, like, the Nola and Chris scene, their first one in the bar after she flunks her audition.
Yeah.
I felt like there was a lot of like, well, why are you part of this family? And then you're like, well, why are you part of this family? You know, and it's like, it's a nice kind of like volleying of needling between the two. And it kind of felt like a tennis match a little bit.
You're going to do very well for yourself. Unless you blow it.
And how am I going to blow it?
By making a pass at me.
And what makes you think that's going to happen?
Men always seem to wonder. They think I'd be something very special.
And are you?
Well, no one's ever asked for their money back.
That apartment they moved into, with like the floor to ceiling windows.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god. That, you know,
overlooking like, I think it's Big Ben, isn't it?
Yeah, or yeah.
Trafalgar Square or something.
Yeah. I might commit homicide for that apartment. So that, you know, that's justifiable. That's why I was sympathizing with him.
Yeah, I mean it's a great apartment.
Woody does murder plots every now and again, and they usually are about. It's usually murder, and the person gets away with it.
Yeah,
and it's like them living with it. Crimes and Misdemeanor has it. Cassandra's Dream has it's like the exact same story, just told differently. That one has Philip Glass as the soundtrack.
Okay.
Irrational Man has it. I don't remember the soundtrack to that, but that was sort of a goofy take on the same premise.
Okay. Are you calling him a recycler or?
Well, I guess this is this notion is from Crime and Punishment. Like he's obsessed with that book,
right?
And I guess that immediate plot point, or at least that story of like committing a murder and getting away with it, comes from. I've never read Crime and Punishment.
Yeah, I read a summary of it today, but
who has the time? That book's like 10,000 pages long.
We've talked about this. This was back when, like,
when people had all the time in the world, where you were either farming or reading.
Yeah, and a 1,000-page novel is like your summer.
Yeah. But Woody Allen loves that book, and so he revisits that specific idea a lot, just in sort of like, from different angles.
Right.
Yeah, Crimes and Misdemeanors has it. Martin Landau's sort of the Jonathan Rhys Meyers type, and Angelica Houston is Scarlett Johansson.
Oh, okay.
And it's really good, and it's sort of nice that it's sort of not bookended, but complemented with a funny storyline as well, and they both meet up at the end.
Sure.
Did you watch the trailer for this?
No.
The trailer, rightfully so, the trailer makes it look like a murder thriller, which isn't totally
no, yeah,
on point.
I didn't know that was going to happen. I'd be honest, I didn't know the murder was going to happen.
But the trailer doesn't say Woody Allen until like the last second, and even then it just kind of flashes like a film by Woody Allen, and then just like fades away real quick. It's like no one believed that he directed this movie.
Yeah.
He had been sort of in the woods for a while, like he hadn't made a good movie in like 10 years, and then he made this movie.
That seems to be the consensus, where it was like, oh, he's finally coming out of something.
I mean, he went back in, but he makes one movie a year, lay off.
I know, yeah. Speaking of, I was looking through his filmography, and I haven't really been paying attention to Woody Allen for a while now. And if you stop paying attention to a director who's making a film a year, and like for the last, 15 years or so that I haven't been paying attention, you're missing out on a lot of movies.
Yeah.
There are a whole bunch of us like, I didn't even heard about this one. Yeah. I mean, I guess if you're working on one movie a year, how do you even do that? Like, he must be pre-producing while finishing up. Like, he must finish and then like on to the next one.
Yeah. He also plays in a jazz band every Monday.
Jeez, what does he play?
Clarinet.
No, that sounds about right.
They toured a couple years ago. My mom saw them.
Oh.
Like 6-7 years ago now.
Were they any good?
She said they were really good, yeah. So,
Good for him.
yeah. Keeps busy.
Yeah. Definitely. God, this is another, just like last week, another director that like just keeps keeping busy and like churning them out in ways that I don't.
Yeah, and he has sort of a charming way of getting actors. Like, he doesn't do a lot of auditions. He mostly, which makes me think he must be watching contemporary movies, even though like I don't get a contemporary vibe from any of his movies.
Yeah.
He must still see them because he usually will type. He's got like an old like Rand typewriter that he types letters to his actors. And it's always like, I saw you in this, and I thought you were really good, and I have a part in my next movie that I thought you would be right for, and I was wondering if you'd be interested in doing this.
Wow.
Like, yeah. I mean, like, he'll do that to even actors that he's worked with before. Like, I think it was like Josh Brolin. It's like, you might remember we made a movie together called like so-and-so, and, if you'd be interested, I'm writing a new movie, and I thought,
How polite.
Yeah.
That's nice, because, I don't want to assume that you remember making this movie
Yeah.
with me.
Making a movie is just a small affair.
Yeah.
In and out, it's outpatient surgery.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're big enough to be in a Woody Allen movie, probably just churning them out.
Yeah.
So, I wanted to say, see, look, I didn't even know the murder was going to take place. I wrote murder. It's like, it was surprising to me. Like, I wasn't sure. And I read a couple reviews that said, like, oh, this is easy to tell where this is going. And I guess it's because, like, maybe I didn't know what Crime and Punishment was about or whatever. But it was just like, I didn't know that he was going to do that. And I thought it was kind of shocking for me. Especially when he killed the neighbor.
Yeah.
It's just like, no, because he's like fumbling to get the shotgun together.
It's so tense.
I thought she was going to come out and be like, what are you doing? And then like call him out and then it was all going to fall apart. But no, he just goes and kills her.
Yeah. It spoiler alert.
Ding.
Yeah, I'd forgotten how tense that scene is. Because I'd forgotten that part of it. Like, I knew the second step of his plan. But I'd forgotten that he does that first.
Yeah.
And then the way that it unfolds. I remember when I saw this initially, and he's sort of revisited by them. Years and years ago, I thought that was so corny and dumb. But I watch it now, and I think it's because I've seen like the trope of like being revisited by the ghosts of your past.
Right.
That it's sort of almost like he's confronting that trope.
Yeah.
It's like, Marley's ghost is coming back to haunt him, and he's like, nope, not gonna do it.
You can't. I'm above that now.
Yeah. I thought that was a good way, like, I thought it was a very smart way to, like, brush off that trope. Like, Marley and his chains come rattling, and he's just like, nope, not gonna let it affect me.
That's what I mean by this movie is really cynical.
Yeah.
In that, like, he doesn't even have a traditional conscience in the way that, like, killing 2 people would make you feel. You know? Like, he is visited by the ghost, and instead of like having some sort of like come to Jesus moment or something, he just brushes it off and is like, no, it was justified. I had to keep, everything together.
I mean, you definitely get the idea that he's not happy with himself.
Right.
At the end.
But able to live with himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone else is happy, they got the baby finally, and...
Yeah. Oh my god. I might cut this out. I was debating on whether or not I wanted to talk about this, but like, I
hate babies.
I have a strong opinion against people who are fertility people who like have to have a baby that's like comes out of their body.
Oh yeah, she was like adamantly against adoption.
Oh yeah, her friend is like, have you ever considered adoption? She goes, I want my own, and it's like, I just like flames on the side of my face. I hate that so much.
She is like a little prissy and a little spoiled,
she's
though.
Awful. I know, and she's
she
so gross.
only wants, the finest things. I thought her spoiledness was very subtle. Like, it wasn't like her throwing a tantrum. It was just she refuses to like compromise on things.
Right, because she's never had to. And if it ever does come down to a fight, she just goes, "Daddy, fix it."
Well, it was also like the way that she would look for Chris. Like, when they were in like
just
the
shouting,
just like wandering around the manor, going, "Chris, have you seen Chris? Have you seen my husband? Have you seen my fiance?"
She was so annoying,
and it's like, he's probably hiding from you. Like, just be cool for a little while.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, she definitely had that like needy, like, I have to know where he is at all times.
Yeah.
I mean, in this situation, she probably should have. But...
I don't know. She drove me nuts. Not that like Scarlett Johansson was the
no, she was the opposite. Like, she was unstable and irrational and moody. Mm-hmm. Like, at least with the Avian Bone Girl, like, you knew what you were in for. But ScarJo, Nola, like, nobody would know.
Who knows? Yeah.
I just wanted to say that even I've seen this movie once before, but like the way that I don't want to say climax, but how after the deed unfolds when he like goes to the police station,
right?
When he denies any interactions with her and they hand her that diary,
right? Like,
my chest gets all tight again,
right? And
then there's like a little like moment of relief, like it seems like he might be out of the woods,
right?
And then he's not, and then he is, like that up and down, like still like gets my blood rushing, even though I know how it's gonna play.
The last half hour is super twisty, plot twisty, and it's fun because then it's like it goes back to the main theme of this of like what is lucky, and like it constantly is being redefined because you see him throw. There's that repeat shot that we have from the beginning with the tennis ball, and you sense it falls in the same direction. Or I guess it's ambiguous in the beginning. I just assumed that was like a bad fall.
Yeah.
But the ring falls the same direction, and since it didn't go in the river, you feel like, oh, that's bad for him.
Which is definitely the first time I saw it. That's the way I interpreted it. Like, oh, this is him losing.
Right.
But
I guess it depends on what side you're on. You know? So I think that maybe that's sort of something he's pointing out. So like luck is basically. It can go, it's not just which way the ball hits, it's also what side of the court you're on. It's like...
I mean, you can say that...
your upbringing is, you can keep expanding that.
Yeah, you can say that, like, the execution of those scenes, like, wasn't subtle, but, I mean, a lot of times in movies, you'll see, a scene either in the beginning or near the beginning, and then you'll see it mirrored later, and sometimes you don't even notice it.
Right.
Or you'll only notice it on rewatch. And the way that it was handled here is, even when you're watching it the first time... Like, that first scene and then the scene with the ring are, married in your head, essentially. Like, you know immediately what that scene is calling back to.
Right. It's a broad stroke, but it's great. I mean,
it works so well. And it, the story wouldn't work without it, so it really kind of has to work.
Yeah.
But it does, and I feel like it works so well.
Mm-hmm.
Like it really sticks the landing.
Right, because it makes you feel like he's lost.
Yeah.
But if that ring hadn't fallen that way, then they wouldn't have been able to place the junkie at the scene.
Yeah.
And like, so it actually is a good thing that it fell that way, but you don't know that when it's doing it, and so like it just sets up that whole ending twistedness, which is fun.
Yeah. And even when he's talking to the officers, they're talking about how, he wants to hide his affair.
Right.
He's like, don't punish me for trying to just hide an extramarital affair. And they're like, well, we're not here to like, make a, judgments on anyone. Like, we're just investigating a crime.
Well, and fuck them too, because it's like, it's like, oh yeah, a heroin junkie. Yeah, that's probably accurate. But like a guy trying to cover up his affair, like, cause he's rich. It felt like, again, that's where I feel like if there's a moral to the story, it's like, rich people get away with everything.
Yeah.
That's lucky, being born into whatever.
He had to work his way into wealth by marrying rich.
Someone tweeted at us, I think your friend.
Yes.
Tweeted at us that we need to come up with a way to get...
We
need to brainstorm how to get Helen Mirren a Grammy.
Yeah, so she can be an EGOTer.
Yeah. Because she's just so talented.
She is just so talented.
Have we ever heard her sing?
I mean, I have not, no. Alright, we're gonna remake Mamma Mia, show play. We're gonna do a British Mamma Mia, show play Meryl Streep's part.
Okay. Do we want to keep it as an ABBA themed thing, or should we use a British band?
What's a British
keep it
band?
Super British. Spice Girls. Erasure.
All right, Spice World 2. She plays all of their mothers. She just had them with different men.
And so
it's a synctomom thing. She got nailed by 5 guys all in one day, and they all, like, their sperms impregnated 5 different eggs. So she gave birth to 5 of them all.
This is going to have to be a really good version of Spice Up Your Life that she sings. Because if we're going to win a Grammy, maybe we can get, like, who's a popular producer these days?
Music producer or film producer?
Music. Timberland? I don't even think I said that right. Oh, jeez. I don't know
Skrillex. Is he British? I don't know.
I don't know. Will he win a Grammy? Is he Grammy-worthy?
Yeah, he won a Grammy.
Hmm.
That was one of the questions that I used to ask on job interviews.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Has Skrillex ever won a Grammy?
What was it for?
Like Best Electronica or Best Remix. Oh, yeah, it was Best Remix or something like that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
They have a Best Remix Grammy now?
Yeah, Grammy, they try and, stay with it.
Man.
So, watching Match Point inspired me to come up with my own murder mystery movie.
Oh, okay.
Got the notes right here.
These are great. I love it when you use that notebook.
So it's an erotic thriller.
Okay.
So it's sort of a young, naive, hot gay boy.
Okay.
Works as a bartender. At least 21.
Okay.
And one day he's approached on Grindr
Mm-hmm.
by a guy that does not have his photo as his profile pic. Saying, hey, I've seen you working. I think you're hot. Blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
Wants to buy an article of clothing from him.
Okay.
So they work out where you can go to like an Amazon Dropbox or something. Leave the article of clothing, and in the Dropbox is some cash.
Sure.
So goes, opens it up, takes the cash, leaves his undies, whatever it is, takes off.
Mm-hmm.
Gets approached again, and he's like, hey, the undies are great. Wants more.
Okay.
Asks for something more intimate. Pubes, we'll say. So,
Okay.
gives himself a Brazilian. leaves the hairs in the drop box, takes the cash.
Sure.
Then eventually he asks for some semen. Wants at least 10 cc's.
Okay.
Full vial. So he does it. You know, gets even more cash, you know. Young,
is he
dumb
conflicted
kid.
at all so far? Like,
He
does
could
have
be.
Does he have a best friend that he's like, I know this is weird, but...
A fruit fly? Yeah.
Or it can be just, you know, another gay friend that is just like they're like, why are you able to buy drinks all of a sudden? And like, where are you getting all this money? And then he can be like, all right, let me tell you guys.
I will incorporate that into my rewrite.
Okay.
But after he drops off the semen, there's a murder in town.
Oh God.
Not just a murder, a rape murder. And whose semen is inside the victim?
Oh no.
His.
Oh no. Dun dun dun!
I don't have the rest of the movie.
Oh,
Except
okay.
The notes I have is for the ending is, and then he removes his mask and he's a lizard person too. Fade to black. So we'll have to work out a third act. But...
Yeah, that seems like the end of Act 2 for sure. Basically, that first page you read there is we've got the trailer ready to go. We could get an Amazon tie-in if we use the Dropbox. I'll give Jeff a call. Jeff, what's up? It's Ryan.
Who? Click.
Damn it. Beep, boop, 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 beep, beep. Jeff, hey, I think our connection got cut off.
We'll call it a Fresh Prime or some Amazon Fresh Prime.
I'll be honest with you. This seems a little more in the vein of a schlock fest. I'll
Socket.
Sure.
Hey,
it's coming up. Don't worry. We'll get there. Season 3 is full of surprises.
I'm glad that we're referring to them as seasons openly now.
Should we let the audience know that that's what we're doing?
They'll pick it up.
Okay. But before we get to Season 3, we have to do our Season 2... season finale, which I'm pretty excited about this double feature.
I'm really excited about it. I was excited about the last one too, and that one went horribly awry.
Let us never speak of it again.
This week,
this one can't go bad, right?
That's a bold statement.
Oh God, yeah, I've jinxed us.
We're doing Heathers, followed by Jawbreaker.
Some classics of late 80s and 90s teen angsty
murder drama.
Murder cinema.
High school murder cinema.
Yeah. Heathers and
Jawbreaker.
For our Season 2 finale.
Yes.
Junk Plugin.
Follow us at Twitter at X-Rated Movies.
Mm-hmm. Follow us on Facebook. Check out our Facebook page. It's Rated X Movies.
You can email us x.rated.movies@gmail.com.
And rate, review, subscribe on whatever service you're using.
Yeah.
We love ratings. We love reviews. And tell your friends if you're having fun along with us. Because we're having a ball over here.
A little too much fun sometimes.
Maybe, but try and stop us. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.